everyone, and welcome to another edition of Just Jackie. So today I'm joined by Mark Dunford, who's the CEO and founder of Dunsford Financial Planning. So welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Jackie. Thank you. I've been talking about this for a while. So.
Now, Chris Booth really wanted me to ask you about boating, but Andrew Rocks wanted me to ask you about your career. So I say, let's keep them both happy and do a bit of both, starting with, without telling me anything about work, can you please tell me about yourself and please include something about boating?
Yeah, so I grew up on the Mornington Peninsula at a place called Frankston. I played the highest level of cricket you can play here, which is district cricket. Both with Frankston and VFA football with Frankston. So I'm a local person. I coached various levels. I also played senior football at Pines Football Club, which is Mornington Peninsula Football League, which is the local football league. Played Division 1 there for 10 years and again coached and played there. So I'm a local sporting person, I think, first. I went to school at John Paul College, Frankston, and I'm still living in Frankston. We just moved into a new apartment right next to the football ground, funnily enough. So I'm a Frankston person. Boating, my granddad gave me the thirst for fishing. He was a very good whiting fisherman particularly. My dad was probably the worst fisherman I've ever met. He used to use old bits of metal and tie things on for sinkers, whereas my granddad was very fastidious. So I've got my love for fishing from my granddad, and I've just progressed through the boats, different sizes over the years, but we spend a lot of time on the boat, so we love our boating.
Yeah, awesome. And so Roxy has mentioned that you've had this incredible career within the financial planning industry. Can you please walk me through your career journey?
Okay, well, Roxy's very kind. So I started with the financial planning industry. Most people may not understand the younger generation started from the life insurance industry, really. So in the day, and I'm talking my day was early 80s, there was Legal & General, AMP, National Mutual, Colonial Mutual, TAL Life were around. There was a couple of broking firms, Occidental. I started with a company called Legal & General, and they sold, all the companies did, sold superannuation as well as life insurance products. That's as complicated as it got. And so we had a Legal & General, it was a fantastic agency for us. It was like a football team. We got a lot of good education, really quality people all through that organisation. I'm still in touch with the guy called Trevor Matthews, who was CEO in my time there. They're just good people. That's where I started. We had a very funny thing happen. We're on a life insurance conference with Legal & General at the Intercontinental Mayfair, London. And we had the top, I think it was 15 advisors around Australia, and we were on the Legal & General Agents Association as well. I ran Victoria, the other guys ran the various states, and we got it was a fax I remember came through saying Legal & General Australia has been sold to Colonial Mutual for, it was in the time was $800 million. That was in 1995 or 6. So we're at this Continental Mayfair, and we thought, well, what have they sold? They're our clients. So we all got together. We formed a business called Financial Service Partners. Out of that, by the time we got back, we grabbed a guy called Phil Billings, who was head of marketing for Legal & General in Australia, lived at Sanctuary Cove, and we made him head of the business, and away we went. It was about the time when broking was just starting to come in, computers were available, so you could use a couple of different insurers, and rather than place all our business with one company, we shared the love around. That was the start of it. So in 1997 we did that. We sold Financial Service Partners. We were the 10th largest financial planning business in Australia by 2007. That counted all the banks. It counted AMP, National Mutual. We had about 285 advisors around Australia, all Legal & General guys, because we were a very tight team, and we had a good story to tell. So we sold that business to ING in 2007 for about 82 mil, rings the bell, and everyone got a drink out of that. So we played the game that the corporates have been playing, and then from then on it was another game. We're halfway through, three-quarters of the way through now with another plan with 𝐂𝐸𝐸𝐿.
Oh my gosh, what a story.
Yeah, so that was good. That was fun, and we got a result. And the proudest moment in my career I can remember, it was December 2007, just before Christmas. I was driving around Victoria, all the other large advisors. I remember a guy called Dennis Nugent, lovely fella, ex-jockey. He took me under his wing when I was a young bloke, and I said to him, mate, when Legal & General got sold, I'd been there for 25 years, 82, 19, 25 years. He'd been there for like 45 years. And I gave him a check for, I think it was about 680 grand. We did a percentage scale on what you brought to the business. We did a cut, and the advisors had 25% of the pool. So I remember driving around Victoria, giving guys like Dennis Nugent, checks for 685 grand, 430, 380, big numbers that they were never going to get if they had stayed with Legal & General, and it was very fulfilling to get a result.
I bet. Oh my gosh. Congratulations to you. And Roxy doesn't lie. That is a very impressive career journey.
That was a good start.
And so now bringing it into the future, or the present really, can you tell me, what does a good financial plan look like for one of your clients?
Okay. I think a financial plan, first of all, is flexible. So we know that every 12 months the client has a standard review, but I think the good advisors with the good clients know exactly what their client's doing at any particular time, whether they've bought another house or they've remarried or they've gone through, sold a business, or they've, so a good planner will know that. And the plan that's in place, I think, covers, well, it's a number of areas, isn't it? We're talking about, from an insurance point of view, I always want to make sure the client's debt's covered. If there's any personal debt, we want that covered. Obviously, a structured mortgage scenario with clients typically looking to get the best deal. And from my experience, anytime after 2 years, you should be reviewing whatever you've done with any bank, because the market's so dynamic. It needs to have a retirement planning piece, so that whatever the age of the client is, and each part of those parts of the puzzle become more or less important. And I'll give you the example of someone my age now. Well, the insurance, I'm probably about to get rid of my key man policy after I've had for the last 42 years. I just don't need it anymore, and we've got enough assets and the business is structured well enough. Whereas once upon a time it was an important piece, and mine focuses now on the retirement planning piece. So I think everyone goes through the stages. I had my hair cut there this morning, especially for this interview, Jackie. You might notice a bit. The lovely young lady in there who did it, I always ask the question, what are you doing? What are you saving for? Are you working hard? And we talked to her about how hard it is to save money. If she's saving for a mortgage, she reckons she's still 2 years away. And I just had a general conversation about the things that should even to the areas should be looking at. Don't set your expectations too high. Just because mum and dad live in a nice part of Frankston, that doesn't mean you can live down the road, might be 45 minutes away initially till you get the house at the right price, and then lift your sights up. So just financial planning wisdoms or conversations you can have with anyone, and no doubt one day she'll be a mortgage client, I'm sure. So it's that piece. It's movable. It's flexible.
Yeah, of course. Amazing advice. Now, I've seen some of the testimonials on your website, and it's very clear that you have a huge impact on your clients' lives that extends much further than just financial planning. So what would be your favorite client story that will just stick with you forever? Because you seem to have a few there.
Yeah, look, I think the favourite one wouldn't have had a testimonial, so it was my son-in-law, Glen. So Glen was our first cadet that came through. He did a double degree of finance and economics at uni, and Glen was my son-in-law, so he married my daughter. Glen worked with us for 10 years, as did my daughter, Lauren. And he was going to be a superstar, particularly on the insurance side, because I really taught him all what I knew, and he was really going to be a great success. But unfortunately, Glen developed colon cancer at age 28. And so what was the greatest story and the best succession, or one of the key pieces of the succession planning story, didn't come to fruition. Glen passed at 32. So he fought a 4-year battle. He had stage 4 when he was diagnosed. The fortunate thing is my granddaughter at least got to see her dad for 2 or 3 years. We didn't even think that was going to happen when he initially got diagnosed. So, when I say it's my favourite client story, what I've seen because of my belief in insurance, obviously we had Glen well covered. My daughter Lauren doesn't have to work. She chooses to work now. And when I look at my granddaughter, she's got Glen's characteristics. So I feel good about what the life she's able to have because of what Glen did at the start, but what we did to protect the lifestyle, which is so important for particularly clients that are, and people that don't have a lot of assets. You need to have that insurance in place. It's more important than worrying about, the investments and the sexy side of financial planning, which is, how much money can I make and all of that. So it's my best and worst story, but it's such an important story, and it's not getting told as much, which is to the detriment in our industry because of advisor numbers are down by half. The regulators and the FSC originally have decimated our industry with the way that they've structured insurance and the way they've increased policies unfairly. And so I really worry about that piece of the industry, because it's, there'll be a lot of Glen stories that won't get the cover because the stories aren't getting told and clients aren't understanding. The kids that are coming through that I see out of the universities, they all understand, they all understand algorithms and they all understand, wealth and how to accumulate and compound interest, and they understand that part. But, life insurance is such a key element. I'll pick a number and I'll say anyone up until age 45, 50 needs to have an insurance piece in place to look after. They won't have enough assets up to that age. Of course, there'll be exceptions to the rule, but as a general rule, and most planners, the new planners, can't tell the story, don't understand the story, and don't have the empathy to tell the story properly. So that's what I worry about in our industry generally. And it ends up coming back on the government. If people don't have their own personal insurances, whether it be income protection, they're lining up then for social security benefits, and it actually affects all of us, not just the family itself. It's actually the way the system's working. So that's the downside I see in our industry, unfortunately.
Sure. Well, Mark, thank you so much for sharing that story, and I'm so happy that we can provide you with somewhat of a platform to get that message out there, because it obviously is so important. And maybe leads quite well into my next question, being if you could make one change to the financial planning industry that must be adhered to throughout Australia, what would that change be?
Can I big greedy and take two? I think the one I just touched on, if I just start on that one first, what the government, regulators, life insurance companies need to do is make that part of the business attractive for advisors. So they need to be able to, life insurance needs to be sold, so it needs to be remunerated appropriately. The fee-for-service model doesn't work consistently in life insurance. So there's not the incentive, financial incentive for advisors and life companies to educate the next generation. So that's one. Number two would be, I think we need to make financial planning advice tax deductible. So we've got such an important role to play in communities. And it's funny when you throw a tax deduction, even if it's a limited tax deduction, it might be 20%, it might be marginal tax rates. But put a tax deduction incentive for clients and people generally to pick up the phone and get some advice. Because I hear and see too many stories where, if the person had advice, they would never have gone down that path. They would never have done that. And, it's like an electrician, you're not going to go and open up a roof and unscrew a power point if you haven't got the technology or the expertise or the qualifications yet. For some reason, individuals will go and make a big financial decision without seeking advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're two great pieces that, just come from your wisdom and experience in the industry. And so can I ask why you choose to partner with Lydian?
Okay, so look, we went down, we looked for probably hard for 12 or 18 months to get a broker in office, in-house, because with a client base our size, which is about 3,000 clients, there's obviously an opportunity to do that, as there is for an accountant, as there is for a solicitor. But, we've sort of stuck to our knitting. And our knitting is core wealth advice, particularly retirement planning, life insurance, of educated, and aged care. We've just stuck to that knitting. We found it very hard with the conversation we had with a number of brokers, whether it was, they didn't have the comfort or they didn't think that they could make it work, or they were comfortable with a larger bank or wherever they were situated. I just sort of gave up on trying to have one in-house. And through, obviously, the 𝐂𝐸𝐴𝐺 relationship with Roxy originally, we had a couple of conferences. I think it might have been the one up at Palm Cove. I think we sat down for an hour and went through, and I just thought, what, we'll just trust your judgment. You've been doing it for a lot longer. Give us someone who would suit our business model, and let's work with them. So that's where I obviously came across Jamie Gant. I love the story that he works out of Lombok. I haven't seen a photo of him yet, so I don't know whether it's real or whether he surfs every day. That's what I'm picturing. He surfs every day and answers the odd phone call and lies on a towel and gets massages on the beach and drinks cocktails. That's what I'm picturing, but let's not hold that. No, he's been fantastic. So I'll give you my personal example, because I won't recommend anyone unless I've bought something off someone. That's how I like to do stuff, whether it's a car or an idea or whatever. I need to buy it and test it before I promote it. So we've restructured a self-managed super. I've basically restructured with my age and the retirement planning we're going down. I've restructured every asset that I've got. Business, self-managed super, ownership of the practice, blah, 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 blah. So Roxy has been a superstar on home mortgages, on business loans, self-managed super fund loans, the structure. Nothing's too much trouble. I get scared because I know he's on West Australian time. That's how I try and pitch a Lombok. I'll send him a text. I've said to him, listen, you don't need to answer it at my time, because I know that's just, ping, he's come off the beach, he's dried himself down, he's rubbed his back and he's answered the text. So he's a superstar, and he's given me good advice, and I feel very comfortable with opening up to share all our financial planning, really, to help me get the best results. So he's been great. And a number of clients, not just myself, a number of clients that the other advisors have referred to have all had similar experience. Yeah,
great. Well, my follow-up question was going to be, can I ask how that partnership is going? But it sounds great. It's going great by the sounds of it.
No, it's going great, and it's just so easy. Like, it's just, I know it seems weird, someone working out of Lombok doing mortgages, but it's not really about that anymore, is it? Like, clients, if we need to do a Zoom and he has to miss a day surfing, well, he's got to come in a bit earlier, miss the high tide or whatever it is. He's got to come in and take off his board shorts and put his suit on. Or he probably leaves his board shorts on and puts his business shirt on. And,
business up top.
Yeah. So, that's how I picked it. But no, he's been great. And as I said, it's, his depth of knowledge and, the way he's gone about getting the right banks and the right people at those banks, I think is the biggest part. We moved away from Westpac. We tried to work with Westpac. They were hopeless. So he said, look, we're wasting our time. Introduced me to a high-end NAB bank relationship. So that's where we've parked some of the stuff. So no, his knowledge of the industry and structures has been great. Really appreciated it.
Amazing. Now, one last question I'd like to finish off with. Mark, if you were a wrestler, what would your entrance song be?
Oh, you know what? Having played football right through the 80s in cricket, it has to be Eye of the Tiger, the old Rocky one. was the one we always played as players. So that resonates. I haven't heard it for a while, but I can still remember pretty much word for word how it went. So I think that was the one. I know it's probably a bit daggy now, but yeah, I really like that Rocky movie and the whole story and the music to it.
No, I love it. That song never loses the magic. So yeah, let's go with that. Eye of the Tiger. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being available to interview you today. Thank you so much for sharing the story of your family. And I really do hope whoever's watching this is listening and taking action. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and insights. So yeah, hopefully we'll get you back on again soon. And we love the Lydian and Dunsford Financial relationship. And thank you for everything.
Thanks, Jackie.
Bye.
Thanks for that.